first, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now. Appreciate you joining us wherever you are. You found us. We are on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on our apps, which there are multiple apps, so make sure that you know that. For Roku, Apple TV, or Fire TV, you can find the Fox 12 Oregon app, or, of course, on our website. We live stream here every weekday. There's the information on the show, but here's what we're talking about right now for this segment: Cougar encounters and what to do. More and more, we have had news reports of people actually encountering cougars, whether that's here in Portland within the city limits, whether that's out in the outskirts, or even a report that came through over this last weekend of a child being attacked in Olympic National Park, an 8-year-old. So if you have not heard this, we're going to be playing a report actually from one of our stations up in Seattle and talking about this and what exactly happened. I will say the child is okay. The child got away. Sounds like they did the right things, but still pretty nerve-wracking to have that happen. There are some statistics out there. It's very, very rare for a cougar to attack, but nonetheless, we've seen so many different ways that people are interacting. There may be some certain reasons for that. I mean, we're encroaching on their territory perhaps, or it's just circumstance, but it is happening more and more. So I wanted to recap some of these most recent news stories. We've got that from Seattle that we're going to be discussing here for the Olympic National Park attack. We also had reports even in Troutdale over this last weekend, and we have a report actually from one of our reporters. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to play my interview from a few weeks ago after that Cannon Beach cougar sighting. Remember the cougar that went out to Haystack Rock? I mean, of course you do. We're going to discuss that, what happened there, and also what to do if you do encounter a cougar. How to make sure that you're handling yourself properly, what to do, what not to do. We're going to have all that coming up. But first, let's recap and bring everybody up to date on this story that came out of Washington and what happened here with this kid.
I think they realized that it was a pretty scary incident.
A 15-minute drive from Port Angeles. A family was camping here alongside Lake Angeles in the heart of the hills backcountry when their 8-year-old was attacked by a cougar.
Luckily, the mom responded perfectly and quickly and started yelling and screaming at this cougar. It let the kid go and walked away.
The child only suffered minor injuries.
Minor abrasions, scrapes, punctures, stuff like that.
The family left the backcountry to go to the hospital.
We're so happy that it was not a huge incident and that the kid is safe.
But several trails in the area remain closed as officials search for the cougar. If they find the animal, they'll euthanize it.
We're park rangers, we're wildlife biologists. We don't enjoy killing wildlife. That is not why we signed on to this job. But in circumstances like this, it is warranted.
And while Amos Elmy calls attacks on humans extraordinarily rare, he says if you do encounter a cougar, make sure to back away slowly and do not run.
That might kind of trigger its predatory instincts.
You should also keep children close to you, appear large, and if it gets aggressive, shout and throw things.
Maybe pick up rocks, maybe pick up sticks and actually throw them at the cougar.
July 19th, we told you about another cougar attack in the Olympic Mountains, but nearly 100 miles south near Lake Cushman. That's where a dog survived a cougar attack while out for a walk with its owner. An air horn was used to scare it off, and officials never found the cougar.
All right, so again, taking a look there at that report from Washington. So the child was okay, and it did sound like the mom did all the things that you're supposed to do. We're going to go over those here in just a little bit as well, talking about what to do if you encounter a cougar and to keep yourself safe. Attacks, very, very rare, but nonetheless, you don't want them to happen, or at least maybe not encourage it to happen. Now, that's something that happened there. Now, there were some sightings here again recently. This was over this last weekend, I believe Thursday, Friday, where this happened, where there was some sightings over by Troutdale. And as you know, if you're here in this area, or if you're in the Portland area, that's a very popular spot to go swimming. There's all the riverfront area over there. You know, go to the Sandy River or any number of places to go hike. So that's coming in definitely into city limits. So let's see this. We're going to watch what Jeffrey Lindblom went out and actually recorded, talking about these encounters, talking about the sightings that people had and what was going on out there in Troutdale.
People I spoke with living in the Troutdale homes that you see here behind me tell me that they saw the cougar before they even had a chance to have their morning coffee.
I'm screaming and yelling as loud as I can, waving my hands.
Natalie Bowers and Marissa Proctor say they share a fence, and their dogs were outside when they heard them barking and yelping aggressively.
Her hair was all up, and she started darting for our gate right behind us.
That's when Bowers says she was face to face with a cougar similar to the one you're seeing in this video and a bit smaller than her German Shepherd. Frightened, she yelled out to her neighbor.
She started yelling, "Marissa, get the dogs." And I said, "Run out here." And she's like, "There's a cougar."
Describing their neighborhood as a quiet one and with plenty of children out and about, Proctor made sure to alert her neighbors of the sighting.
And that was my first thought, is that there's gonna be one kid riding their bike without their parent, and they're gonna think it's a big dog.
It's concerning to know that there could be something lurking in the bushes, especially when we have so much brush behind us and vegetation. We just can't really see what's back there.
Pat Miller says his next door neighbor a few doors down came up to him and let him know they saw what appeared to be a cougar in his backyard, and with a couple of small dogs. He says that news, it's concerning.
I don't know how long it was back here, but it was definitely here. And the cat may be hungry, so I didn't really appreciate having that going on. So hopefully they find it.
The neighbors hope authorities are able to track the animal down and move it somewhere safer for the community and even the cat, which they say could be at risk of being hit by a car. For Miller, he says he's been in the neighborhood for the last 30 years and has been aware of a handful of cougar sightings during that time, but this is the first time he's seen one hop over his fence.
I think they're becoming too comfortable here.
If you see a cougar, ODFW says to report it by calling the number that you see on your screen. Also, if you'd like some safety tips from ODFW concerning cougars, you can find a link to that on our website, kptv.com. Reporting from Troutdale, I'm Jeffrey Lindblom for Fox 12 Oregon.
All right, so there we go. That was Jeffrey's report again on that encounter that happened out there in Troutdale and some of the concerns that they have about a cougar coming into their neighborhood. So definitely something to be aware of. So here's what else we did. This was here as part of Fox 12 Now. A couple of weeks ago, I actually spoke to Beth Quillian from the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife about the encounter that happened in Cannon Beach. Now, that was the cougar that went out there and was actually on Haystack Rock for quite a while. They suspect it was going out there maybe to snack on some birds or something along those lines, and then tide came in, it got stuck out there. It did eventually leave. They left a pathway for it. So I spoke to Beth, though, just about that incident and why that would happen, and then what to do, again, as you've heard a little bit in each of one of these news stories, what to do if you do encounter a cougar and what not to do. It's certainly a lot different than encountering a bear or any other kind of wild animal. Chances of it happening are slim, but it's more and more that, you know, we're hearing these reports of it. So in case it is you, it's good to know what to do in that situation. So let's go ahead and play this. Again, we're going to be recapping what happened with the Cannon Beach situation, and then we'll get into, during this interview, some of the things to keep yourself safe and how to identify even tracks of if a cougar has been there. There's a difference between a dog track and a cougar track, obviously, but knowing how to tell the differences between those two if you do see something like that, and just know if there's perhaps a cougar in the area. So let's go with this. Here we go. Here's Beth on Fox 12 Now. Beach. What is happening there? We have some of those answers happening right now because we have Beth Quillian. I just put a lot of pressure on you right there to answer every question about cougars. But Beth, I wanted to, thank you very much for being here with us today. Beth is with the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. I want to read your actual title, North Coast, North and South Willamette Watersheds Communications Coordinator. Is that correct?
It is. It's a mouthful, that's for sure.
That is a mouthful. I don't even know how that fits on a card. But the bottom line is you are very, very good at knowing what to do in these situations and what's going on. We last talked about bears. We're talking about this cougar now. So I guess to start off, Beth, why was the cougar at Cannon Beach?
Great question. This is actually the first time that a cougar has been documented that we know of on Haystack Rock. So it's certainly an unusual sighting. And the answer to why it was there, honestly, it could have been out there to hunt birds. What we think happened is it may have made its way down to the rock at low tide and went out there to look for birds.
So some nesting birds or anything that could have been out there and specifically that you think it could have gone after?
Yep, that's very possible. Cougars' main food source is deer, but they'll also eat elk, other small mammals, and birds. So their diet is pretty diverse, and it's not surprising at all that birds might be on the menu every now and then.
Now, do you think that this is the first time maybe it just went out there, tide was out, tide came in and it got stuck out there, or do you think this is something that it's probably been doing quite a bit, we've just never noticed before?
It's hard to say. It's very possible that that cat has been out on the rock before and we just didn't know, because they definitely are very elusive and don't like to be around humans. So it's possible it's been out there, just went out at night and nobody had ever seen it before.
Is it rare for a cougar to actually come down to the ocean like that, to the beach? Is that something that's fairly common in other places, or is that kind of an abnormal behavior?
At least here in Oregon, like I said, this is the first time that we've documented a cougar down at the rock, and it is rare for them to be kind of that close to the beach or on the beach, than as far as the number of documented sightings we've had in areas like that. But the habitat along the coast in these forested areas in the Coast Range are prime cougar habitat. So it's not surprising at all that there are cougars just really close to the beach. This one probably just decided to come down and check out the rock to go hunting.
So, and I think that's a good point too, to remind everybody that cougars are here. They are around us. You just don't see them very often. So to go into that side of things, this one being maybe an abnormality to see the cougar going out to Haystack Rock. Maybe we just don't see it because it's out there at night or something. But in general, let's talk about the cougar population, here in Oregon, and what should we know about that?
Sure. Well, right now, the estimated cougar population in Oregon is about 6,000 animals, and that is of all age classes. That's not just adults. And some of the highest density populations are in Southwest Oregon and also the Northeast. And cougar populations in the Coast Range are actually increasing. That's coming from some recent research that we've had that says those populations are increasing a little bit because there are cougars dispersing from the more dense populations in those other areas of the state. Cougars need a home range of at least 100 miles, so that's a lot of space. And younger cats will disperse to go establish their own habitat. So we see kind of this movement sometimes from denser populations to the Coast Range.
Well, with more cougars then kind of spreading out there in the Coast Range and needing 100 miles, I mean, that's a huge space. So the chances of encounters, I would think, may be increasing. Am I wrong on that?
It's possible, but it's, again, remember, cougars are super elusive. They don't like being seen by people. So the odds of actually seeing a cougar are pretty low. And if you do see a cougar, there's some good things to keep in mind, even if the chances are very low that you'll see one. But we can talk about some safety tips.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had something here too. This was from the beach, kind of taking a look at some of the cougar tracks, and from the ODF website as well. Just take a look at some of the differences there between dog tracks and cougar tracks. They look fairly similar. If you aren't really paying attention, that might be, unless you're looking for it, I would think that would be kind of hard to tell the difference.
Yeah, it can be hard to tell the difference, but if you've got a trained eye and look, and some of those telltale features, like on the dog tracks, you can see those claws in there, whereas any cat really has retractable claws, and when they are pressing their pad down on a surface, you're not going to see those claws extended. So
that's a good tip then right there. So if you see those tracks, look for those, look for the claw marks. So what are some other things that people should do, if you are out, you're hiking, you're at the beach or wherever it could be, and you encounter a cougar, you see one, what are the steps that you need to be taking? Yeah, the first most important thing is to stay calm if you do encounter a cougar, and stay calm, don't run. Running can trigger a chase response in a cougar, which is not what you want. So you just want to stay calm. You can raise your voice, speak firmly, maintain direct eye contact. If you have children with you, it's important to pick them up, but try to do so without bending down or turning your back to the cougar, and back away slowly. And if it displays aggressive behavior or doesn't leave, raise your arms, wave your arms, clap your hands, make noise. And then in the unlikely event that you are attacked by a cougar, you'll want to fight back aggressively, with rocks, sticks, whatever you have at your disposal. So you want to make yourself look if I'm understanding correctly, like as big as possible.
Correct.
So raise the arms, grab the kids, lift them up. So when they're coming though, you mentioned don't turn your back. So do you want to make eye contact? Do you avoid eye contact? What's the situation?
Yeah, you want to make eye contact, and you want that cougar to rethink approaching you, and you'll want to intimidate it. So look bigger, make a lot of noise, and in most cases, if a cougar sees you, it's going to go the other way. It doesn't want to be around humans.
So, and that's different than like the bear encounters that we've discussed before, at least to some extent, because making direct eye contact, I feel like that's something you don't do with bears. Was that right?
Yeah, it's a little bit different, but the same, and that you'll just want to make noise, make the animal aware of your presence. So that's also something important. If you're just out recreating, make noise on the trail. You're talking to your friends, clap your hands every now and then when you're recreating in cougar country, which is a lot of parts of Oregon. So yeah, just making your presence known is important.
So keep those in mind. Any particular areas to avoid, or is it really, they're elusive, so they could be anywhere? Any kind of other signs that you should look out for to know if there's one around?
I wouldn't say that there's anywhere that you should, specifically avoid. It's not something to be super afraid of. It's just important to be prepared and kind of know what to expect if you do have one of those encounters. If you're kind of out in a more, remote area, if you have bear spray or pepper spray, carry that with you. It's not a bad idea to keep that on you and keep it accessible too.
Great. Well, anything else that people should know about what's going on here with the cougar encounters?
I think that about covers it. Yeah, just keep those safety tips in mind. You can always visit our website to review those and check out any more details about cougars that you want to know.
All right, fantastic. Beth, as always, really, really appreciate you being here on the show. Thanks for your knowledge and explaining these things so it makes sense to me.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot. All right, and thank you. I'm going to go ahead and switch that back to us right now. So again, that was a previous episode here of Fox 12 Now talking about that, but still very important information to know, how to keep yourself safe if you do encounter a cougar, what to do. Make yourself look big. Don't run. Do not run, because that is definitely not going to be a good thing, although that may be a hard instinct to fight if you see that happening. But don't run. Grab the kids. If you got a little pet, definitely grab that pet, because that is probably what they're going to be going after. And I can say, for myself personally, I've been camping here in the Northwest most of my life, in Montana, even Idaho, Alaska. I have never personally seen a cougar out in the wild, and I've been in some remote areas, but that doesn't mean that you're not around them. And they probably will see you and go away, and that's most likely what the case is going to be, but these encounters can happen. So it's important to know what to do when you're getting out there, and even here happening in the city, as we heard with Jeffrey's report about the cougars coming into Troutdale. And if you want more information, you can always go to kptv.com. We've got lots of info and links there. You can watch all the Fox 12 Now episodes on our Fox 12 Oregon YouTube channel. So take a look at everything that we do. We cover a lot of different topics on here, whether it's breaking news. We do deeper dives on some of the news stories that you may see and you want to find out more about, or our reporters are out there, all day reporting on these topics, and they have a lot of information that sometimes may not make it into a news broadcast, but we can go in depth on here. And if you see something or hear of something that you think should have coverage, or you want a deeper dive, let me know about it. You can send me an email, fox12now@kptv.com, and I will get that. So let me know if you are aware of something, or that maybe it's a big event that's happening, or something you feel should be getting some coverage, or you want to get the word out about it. You can let me know on that. Again, if there's a news story you want to find out more about, or maybe you have a news tip. I mean, this is one of the many different ways that you can get those here into the station. There's a lot of those. You can always call us or email our general one, but feel free, fox12now@kptv.com. Let me know, and we can go from there. So I appreciate everybody joining us. Again, we're broadcasting on our social media channels. We're on our apps. We're on our website, lots of places to find us. And if there is breaking news that happens outside of our regular newscast, so let's say 1 to 4 p.m., this is the place to go. We'll send you an alert. Sign up for those alerts, let those happen. We'll let you know when that's going on, and we will bring you breaking coverage of whatever's happening. If there's something big going on, this is the place you want to go here to find out what's happening. So thanks, everybody, for being a part of this, and I appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow, again, live here at 1 p.m. Pacific. And I will talk to you then. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.